Texas Throwdown. 7 reasons the Texans crushed the Cowboys. All right, football fanatics. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving headfirst into the Texas-sized showdown that had everyone talking. The Texans versus the Cowboys. Now this wasn't just another Sunday stroll in the park, folks. This was a battle for Lone Star State supremacy. Bragging rights were on the line, pride was on the line. Heck, you could practically taste the intensity in the air. And let me tell you, the Texans absolutely whomped them. We're talking a full-on Texas-style beatdown. So buckle up, because we're breaking down the 7 big reasons why the Texans walked away victorious. Whether you're here for the X's and O's, the highlight reel plays, or just to bask in the Cowboys' misery, we got you covered. Outcoached and outclassed Texans Strategic Masterclass. First things first, you gotta give credit where credit's due. The Texans coaching staff, man, they came to play. We're talking a strategic clinic that would make Vince Lombardi proud. From the opening kickoff, you could tell they had the Cowboys' number, dialing up exotic blitzes one minute, then shifting to a prevent defense that had Dak Prescott scratching his helmet the next. They were playing chess while the Cowboys were stuck playing checkers, and it showed on the scoreboard. And the offensive play calling? Forget about it. They were mixing up the run and the pass like a world-class DJ spinning tracks. One minute they're pounding the rock with the running back, the next they're airing it out deep downfield. The Cowboys' defense was gassed, confused, and couldn't keep up. It was like they were watching a highlight reel of everything they were to stop, but couldn't. You gotta remember, folks, football's a game of inches, but it's also a game of adjustments. And the Texans coaches, they were making those adjustments on the fly, adapting to every single thing the Cowboys threw at them. Meanwhile, the Cowboys' sideline looked like a deer in headlights, frozen in place while the Texans ran circles around them. It was a masterclass in coaching, plain and simple. Unleashing the Beast Texans players take center stage. Now you can have the best game plan in the world, but if your players don't execute, it ain't worth the paper it's printed on. But let me tell you, the Texans players, they didn't just execute, they dominated. We're talking career-defining performances up and down the roster. Guys stepping up and making plays they'll be telling their grandkids about. Let's start with the quarterback, the field general, the man under center. This guy was slinging the pigskin like he was possessed, threading needles, dropping dimes, and making the Cowboys' secondary look like they were running in quicksand. Every throw was right on the money. Every decision was crisp and decisive. He was in complete control, and it was a thing of beauty to watch. And speaking of beauty, let's talk about the receivers, because these guys were catching everything thrown their way. We're talking one-handed grabs, toe-tapping catches on the sideline, and straight-up mossing defenders in the end zone. They were open all day long, and when they weren't open, they were making the impossible look routine. They were unstoppable, plain and simple. But it wasn't just the offense, folks. The defense was playing lights out, too. The defensive line was living in the Cowboys' backfield, sacking the quarterback, stuffing the run, and generally making life miserable for anyone wearing a Cowboys jersey. And the linebackers? Don't even get me started on the linebackers. They were flying all over the field, laying the wood, and shutting down the Cowboys' run game faster than a gas station sushi bar. The steel curtain returns. Texans defense stifles the Cowboys. Now I know what you're thinking. Pat, you already talked about the defense. And you're right, I did. But trust me, folks, this defense deserves its own chapter. They were that good. See, the Cowboys came into this game with one of the most explosive offenses in the league, a real juggernaut. But the Texans' defense, they weren't intimidated, not one bit. They embraced the challenge, they rose to the occasion, and they shut them down completely. It all started up front with the big fellas in the trenches. The defensive line was an absolute force of nature, bulldozing their way through the Cowboys' offensive line like they weren't even there. They were getting pressure on Dak Prescott all game long, forcing him to get rid of the ball quicker than he wanted to, and throwing off the timing of the entire Cowboys' offense. And when Doc did manage to get the ball out, the Texans' secondary was there to make him pay. These guys were sticky in coverage, blanketing the Cowboys' receivers like a cheap suit. Every route was contested, every catch was a battle, and the Cowboys' receivers were left frustrated and dumbfounded. But it wasn't just the individual efforts that made this defense so special. It was the way they played together, the way they swarmed to the ball, the way they supported each other. It was like watching a pack of wolves hunting down its prey. They were relentless, they were hungry, and they were absolutely dominant. Chapter 4, Big Plays, Big Moments. Texans rise to the occasion. Now, every great victory has its share of defining moments. Those plays that shift the momentum and leave a permanent mark on the game. And let me tell you, this game was chock full of them. But there was one play in particular. One play that'll be etched in Texans lore forever. A play so electrifying, so jaw-dropping, that it left the entire stadium speechless. Picture this. It's the fourth quarter, the game's on the line. The tension is thicker than a bowl of Texas chili. The Texans are trailing by a field goal, but they're driving. They get down inside the Cowboys' 10-yard line, and the crowd is going absolutely bonkers. It's 3rd and goal, and the Texans call a timeout to draw up the play. The play clock winds down, the Texans break the huddle, and the quarterback takes the snap. He drops back to pass, scans the field, and sees his receiver streaking across the back of the end zone. He lets it fly, a perfect spiral that cuts through the air like a laser beam. The receiver leaps high in the air, out-jumps the defender, and makes a spectacular one-handed catch for the touchdown. The crowd erupts, the Texans' sideline goes wild, and the Cowboys are left stunned. That, my friends, was the play of the game. The play that sealed the deal. The play that sent the Cowboys home with their tails between their legs. Chapter 5. Forged in Fire. Texans' mental toughness shines through. Listen, football's not just a physical game, it's a mental game. It's about grit, determination, and the will to win. And in this game, the Texans proved they had mental toughness in spades. They faced adversity, they weathered the storm, and they came out on top. Early on, it looked like the Cowboys might run away with it. They scored on their opening drive, the defense forced a 3-and-out, and the Texans' offense looked out of sync. But instead of panicking, the Texans dug deep. They leaned on each other, they trusted the process, and they never lost faith. And slowly but surely, they started to chip away at the Cowboys' lead. They got a big stop on defense, they put together a long drive on offense, and suddenly, the momentum had shifted. The Cowboys, used to having things their own way, started to get frustrated. They started making mistakes, and the Texans capitalized. It was a testament to their mental toughness, their ability to stay focused and composed under pressure. They didn't let the early deficit rattle them. They didn't let the Cowboys' trash talk get to them. They just kept their heads down, kept grinding, and in the end, it paid off. Chapter 6. The 12th Man, Texans fans, fuel the fire. Now, no discussion about this game would be complete without mentioning the incredible atmosphere at the stadium. The Texans fans brought the noise, they brought the energy, and they played a huge role in this victory. It was like having a 12th man on the field, and the Cowboys simply couldn't handle it. From the moment the Texans took the field for warm-ups, you could feel the electricity in the air. The crowd was buzzing, the chants were deafening, and the players were feeding off the energy. And once the game started, it only got louder. Every big play, every defensive stop, every Texans first down was met with a roar that shook the stadium to its core. It was deafening, it was intimidating, and it gave the Texans a distinct home field advantage. You could see it in the Cowboys' body language. They were rattled, they were out of sync, and they couldn't communicate on offense because of the noise. The Texans fans had gotten into their heads, and it showed on the field. Chapter 7. Lady Luck smiles on Houston, momentum and fortune favor the bold. Now, I'm not one to believe in luck, but sometimes, you gotta admit, the ball bounces your way. And in this game, the Texans seemed to be on the right side of every bounce, every fumble, every questionable call. It was like the football gods themselves were smiling down on them. There were a couple of fumbles that bounced right into the hands of Texans defenders, a few questionable pass interference calls that went their way, and a couple of lucky bounces that led to big plays. Now, some people might call it luck, but I call it being in the right place at the right time. And that's what happens when you play with the kind of intensity and determination that the Texans played with. You create your own luck. You force the football gods to take notice. And in this game, the Texans were rewarded for their efforts. Outrow Texans reign supreme, the Lone Star State is painted battle red. And there you have it, folks. 7 reasons why the Texans absolutely dismantled the Cowboys. We saw strategic brilliance, jaw-dropping athleticism, and a whole lot of heart. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement that the Texans are for real, and they're here to stay. So what do you think was the biggest factor in this beatdown? The coaching, the quarterback play, the defense? Or was it something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more epic football breakdowns, and as always, keep the spirit of the game alive.